All right. Welcome and thank you for joining us today on the Heroes and Icons podcast. I'm your host, Greg Randolph. Please find me on Twitter or on the X as it's called now at Heroes Icons Pod to get updates for great shows like this and others. If you're enjoying the show, please share it with a friend, and I thank you in advance for doing so. I have a very special guest today. If you're a football fan, especially the NFL and the Miami Dolphins, this gentleman needs no introduction. He was drafted in 1964 by San Diego in the 14th round of the AFL draft and by Philadelphia in the 13th round of the NFL draft from Los Angeles State. And after serving our country for a year in the United States Marines, he started his pro football career as a defensive end with the San Diego Chargers in 1965. During his third season with San Diego, he was traded to the Buffalo Bills, where he played defensive end, offensive tackle, and center. He retired after the 1971 season with the Bills. Then the Miami Dolphins traded for his rights, and Dolphins coaches Don Shula and Monty Clark were able to convince him to unretire. He served as the team's long snapper and was the backup to future Hall of Fame center Jim Langer that year for the undefeated 1972 Miami Dolphins, which completed a perfect 17-0 season by defeating the Washington Redskins in Super Bowl VII. He played 12 AFL, NFL, and WFL seasons and finished his NFL football career in 1974 with the New York Jets. He also played parts of 2 seasons with the World Football League's Jacksonville Sharks and Jacksonville Express. After his football playing days were done, he enjoyed a very successful career in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in the real estate and appraisal industry. My guest today is Howard Kindig of the 1972 17-0 undefeated perfect season Miami Dolphins. It is a tremendous honor to have you on the show with me today, sir. How are you doing, Howard? What's keeping you busy these days?
Well, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm not doing much. I'm kind of retired. Hell, I'm 82, going on 83, so I don't do a whole lot. And, got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, sir, we're good. We're still rolling.
All right. And so I play golf, fished, I got 3 grandsons, and
Right.
they kind of keep me busy. Our 2 sons are here in Houston, so we're busy with family stuff. My wife and I, we travel around. We stay in the mountains for a couple months a year, and we just kind of, but I'm retired pretty much mostly. Do a little speaking here and there to some high school groups, and kind of keep the old fires burning. We talk about how good we used to be.
Yes,
but in our case, I think we were.
Yeah, well, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Do you still do some fishing these days?
Oh, yes. My grandsons and my sons, they're all fishermen. They go offshore, and we lived 50 years in Louisiana, so we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Right.
So, and that's where my 2 sons were raised.
Yep.
And of course, we fished the Chaffly Basin, back in the old bayou country in South Louisiana. So they were raised on fishing and hunting, and they never hunted any big deer, but they never went, like elk hunting and stuff like that. We didn't do that. But no, we've always been hunters and fishermen and golf. That was our whatever you want to call it. That's what we did.
Okay. Very good. Well, you went. I read a story recently that you went fishing with one Larry Zonka, and you guys caught over 250 pounds of fish.
We caught way more than that. We caught fillets. That's fillets, not fish. I mean, that was what I brought home. 200 pounds of fillets.
Right.
And I've always been wanting to go up there. We always talk with him about, he was in Alaska for years and years. And very successful program to show up there, Sonic Productions, and he's done a very good. Anyway.
Yeah.
He's done pretty good at everything he's ever done, to tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah.
He's a terrific guy.
Yeah.
But we went up there to go fishing. I'd never been to Alaska, my wife and I.
Okay.
And so we went up there and stayed a week and fished every day. And I can understand why he's up there now. It's beautiful, just gorgeous place.
It is. It's the last frontier.
It is. And, and we caught fish, salmon, all different kinds of fish, but halibut, a bunch of halibut. And, And anyway, it was back. You had to fly in. You couldn't drive in, or you had to fly in. In a float plane.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an experience for me. It was old, his old hat, but it was really a highlight for me. But no, we brought home 200 pounds of fillets.
Golly. So that must have been like what, 400 or 500 pounds of actual fish?
Oh,
before they're gutted?
more than that, probably 1,000 pounds. Because they just take the fillets and throw the rest,
Okay.
the eagles and everything else around there. They don't. Nothing goes to waste up there.
Oh no, I can't imagine it would.
But I got home. I said, "What am I going to do with it?" It cost me $1,500 to buy a new freezer. So I still got freezer. I got fish in the freezer from that.
Oh man.
But it was a great experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys got to do that. I'm sure Zonka was a lot of fun to fish with.
He's always fun. We always have a good time together. He and I kind of come from the same background. We're kind of old farm boys.
Sure.
And he's a terrific guy. No question about it.
Okay. No, absolutely. Zonka was my guy growing up and still is.
Yeah, well,
absolutely. He's a good one.
I know if you know him, he's a great football player. No question about that. He's a great outdoorsman. He's a great, but when you really boil it down to what really counts, he's even a better human being.
Right.
He's just a terrific guy.
That's the most important thing.
It is, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let me kind of start at the very beginning of your career. So, what was your first introduction to football, and who were some players or teams that you followed growing up?
I've come from a little town in Missouri, Mexico, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And they had about, I forget how many people, probably 7,000, 8,000 people, small town.
Sure.
And Missouri Tigers, that was University of Missouri.
Sure.
Everybody wanted to go to University of Missouri. And so that was my first, look at football. Of course, our high school football team, I always admired everybody that played football in high school. As a kid coming up, you got your heroes and all that. So, but I played high school football for all 4 years. And I guess after my last year in high school, I was fortunate enough to make, I think, all conference or something.
Okay.
But I never got an offer to play at University of Missouri. No, they didn't. But I had a couple offers for different little, colleges around. But I went to Mobile Junior College to play basketball.
Okay.
I was a basketball player also.
Yeah.
So I went to Mobile Junior College. Cotton Fitzsimmons was the head coach at that time. I just remember Cotton Fitzsimmons.
Sure.
He coached there in Kansas State, and later on, then he went to Phoenix, and he went to
that's right,
to the Atlanta Hawks, I believe.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny. While I'll get to this later. We were in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and an old friend of mine, Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
You remember Pete?
Oh, yeah.
Pete was a great
Pistol
basketball.
Pete.
Anyway, he was playing with the Hawks, and he was playing with Cotton Fitzsimmons.
Mm-hmm.
And I only played a half a year in junior college. I never completed a game. I fouled out of every game I ever played in.
Okay.
And so anyway, I asked Pete, I said, when you go back, ask Cotton Fitzsimmons if he remembers Howard Kindig, Wayne Kindig, they called me back in Mexico.
Okay.
So he come back after I saw him after the season's over, and come back, and I said, what? Cotton said, yeah, he remembered you. And I said, did you tell him I've been playing NFL for the last 7 years? He said, yeah. He said, that's where that big summits belong. So that's what he said. But it was funny. But after my junior college,
yeah,
I quit school, dropped out of college,
yeah,
and went in the Marine Corps.
Right.
That was in 1960. Went in the Marine Corps in 1960.
Okay.
And they, out of wherever, I don't know, but they had where I was stationed in El Toro, California, in Orange County, El Toro Marine Base. There, it was an air base. They had a football team. And they asked me, did you ever play football? I said, yeah, I played high school. Well, you need to come out for the team. I went out, and something caught fire. I don't know what it was, but it just was something inside me. That's what I decided I wanted to do. And I ended up playing 2 years in the Marine Corps. Then I went to college and played 2 years in college, and was fortunate enough to make All-American and all that stuff in college. And we won a national championship at Cal State, Los Angeles. And,
right.
And so I got drafted in the NFL, but none of this was planned. It was just one of those things that happens to you.
Okay.
Like fate. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
And so, but that's where it all began. It was a little old town called Mexico, Missouri. And it's been a hell of a fun ride, to tell you the truth.
That's No, absolutely. That's quite a story.
But I had a knee operation after the '64 season, and the Chargers were sending me down to Louisiana to a guy by the name of Alvin Roy. Alvin Roy was a strength coach at that time.
Okay.
With the Chargers, and worked my knee out. Then I went to Baton Rouge. That's my first time to ever be in Louisiana. And from wherever, it's almost like my football career. How it come about, I don't know. But I had one of the friends that I worked out with, his girlfriend fixed me up with a blind date with this young lady from Louisiana. She was an 18-year-old, second semester junior. Do the math on that.
Right.
She was a majorette, and we met. We went to a little dance, had a little bit of fun, and we've been together for 58 years. So, Selena, my wife.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But
yes, sir.
We've been together, and we spent pretty much the whole entire NFL. Time in the NFL together. So it's been a heck of a ride. She was the youngest wife in the beginning.
Right.
And when we retired, she was the oldest. So it's kind of a funny thing. But
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it certainly all worked out.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was terrific.
So let me ask you just kind of a general question here. How is football different than the other sports than maybe say, baseball, basketball, whatever? How is football different to you?
Well, football was a kind of an outlet for me, I guess. I was always I never was a fighter. I didn't like fighting.
Okay.
I didn't want to, like beating up on somebody or getting beat. But hitting people, I enjoyed the contact, and I enjoyed and so football gave you a chance you could be aggressive.
Right.
And probably the more aggressive you are, the better it is, and back in those days.
Right.
Today it's a little different, but anyway, that was kind of my outlet. And I enjoyed it, and it was a fun thing. And I've always said that when I got out of the Marine Corps and went back to college, I didn't know anybody. I mean, didn't know no one. I only knew the assistant coach that I talked to before I went to training camp.
Right.
And didn't know anybody in training camp, didn't know anybody. And the first 3 days, I met a few guys, after the first scrimmage, everybody knew me. So it was one of those things. And we had a guy by the name of Walter Johnson.
Okay.
Do you remember Walter? Walter was from Cincinnati. Walter was 6'4", weighed about 275. And Walter was he played 13 years defensive tackle with Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
He and I went out the same year. We left left college the same time. But I was a center and a linebacker. Walter was a guard and a defensive tackle.
Okay.
All right. Now, I made All-American. He made All-Americans as a guard and center, but it was mostly him. I mean, when Walter hit somebody, all I had to do was I was just moving him around a little bit. And as far as the linebacker, Walter would take up the whole line, and I'd just go make a tackle. So it was one of those. I always credited Walter Johnson for me playing in the NFL, and he credits me for him playing in the NFL. But
okay.
Walter went on now, but he's one beautiful guy.
Good. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you had that camaraderie there and the teamwork. What are a couple of life lessons that only football can teach?
You can't get in there shortcutting. You can't shortcut.
Right.
When the whistle blows, there ain't no faking it on Sunday afternoon.
That's right.
It ain't no reruns. It all comes out right there.
Yep.
So you can be as prepared as you want to be, and you can do all this. But when that whistle blows, that's it.
Yeah.
And you can't cheat.
Right.
You can forget about cheating. I mean, if you think you can cheat your way through, you're a fool. And so that's really a good, one of the best lessons I've ever learned, I guess. Come from Coach Shula, and this pretty much sums me up from where I am, my basic philosophy. We went to play in Oakland in 1973. Mm-hmm. we had a 19-game winning streak on the line. All right. Mm-hmm. And that time, John Madden was a coach and all that stuff. Kenny Stabler was a coach. Anyway, Oakland, great football team. We get out to Oakland, and we for a Saturday workout, play on Sunday. We got out there, and they were doing some work on the visitors' locker room. So we had to dress in Oakland's locker room, which Oakland they worked out earlier that morning.
Okay.
So we're in there, and Zonka, the guy who dressed in his locker, left his game plan, Oakland's game plan, in his locker.
Right.
People don't understand what a game plan is. It's like a battle plan.
Right.
You know where they're going to be. You know where they're coming at you. You know where they're hiding. You know where you got a hell of a, it really enhances everything. So Zonka gave it to our offensive line coach, Monty Clark, said, look, give this to the old man and see, I didn't even see it. It was here. So they beat us 12-7.
Right.
So we're on the airplane coming back, and I said, Monty, did you give that to Coach Shula? He said, yeah. I said, what did you do with it? He said, he threw it in the waste can and said, if we can't beat them fair, we can't beat them.
That's right.
That's pretty much, that's one story that's exactly, and it wouldn't make no difference whether it was a Super Bowl or whether it's an exhibition game. He'd do the same thing. That's why, you can't cheat. If you're going to win, you can forget about cheating. You might think you can cheat, but it's going to come out sooner or later.
That's right. That's right. It always does.
That's one of the biggest things I've learned. There's no easy way out.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to do it the right way, put in the work.
That's right. You got to put in the work, got to put in the effort. And that's pretty much the way I've been all my life.
Yes, sir.
Learned that from a high school coach, matter of fact.
Well, that served you well.
Sure had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And of course, the discipline in the Marine Corps, with Shula, that was hand in hand. His demanding disciplinarian stuff, that fit me perfect. And fit everybody on the team, because if we didn't have anybody on the team that didn't go for it, they were gone. It didn't make a difference who they were.
Right.
So, but anyway,
What was your early career like? You played for a couple seasons in San Diego, and then traded to Buffalo. Yeah. What were those early seasons like?
I had in San Diego. I played coming as a rookie. I was the defensive end behind Earl Faison. Mm-hmm. Earl was a terrific defensive end, all pro. Really, he helped me tremendously. He and Ernie Ladd. Yeah. And we were very close. We were. And in '66, coming back, I became they traded Earl, and I moved into number one, and I played had a decent season. We had a bunch of injuries, and Chuck Knoll was our defensive coordinator.
Okay.
He had left and went with Shula in Baltimore in '66. Okay. And so it was a whole different scheme out there. Everybody had a whole different scheme and all that. Anyway, our defense we didn't play as well as we did in '65, '64 and all that. So anyway. So, and Sid Gilman had a way of, he blamed me for a lot of it. And in '67, I come back and he kept telling me I wasn't playing up to my potential. And I said, well, and we were 6-0. We won 6 ball games and lost none. We went to play in Oakland, and we got Oakland beat us 4 touchdowns or so. So I would just beat the devil out of us. Mm-hmm. And he'd blame me for pretty much that, publicly blamed me. And I had at that time I had a fractured jaw. Okay. Not wasn't broke where you couldn't, but I had a fractured jaw. Yeah. A slight separated sternum and a cracked rib. And I wasn't playing up to my potential. I had no question about it. But anyway, we got crossways. And I told him, I said, you want to just cut me. He did. And the next week I was starting in Buffalo. So I wasn't traded. I was cut.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was cut. And the rest is history. But it was one of those things that, it happens in the game.
Right.
And I thought he was unfair because he didn't think I was playing, and I wasn't playing up to my potential. But there was reasons. You can't, The pills wear off after a while.
Well, I bet they do. And I was going to say there's probably a big difference between playing hurt and playing injured.
Oh yes, there is, no question about it. I was not injured.
Right.
I was hurt to a point that I could have hurt myself worse, but
yes.
It wasn't. No, I wasn't playing injured, but it was it takes the edge off. I mean, you're not 100% by any means.
Oh no, I wouldn't think so. That's tough to get out there.
But anyway, but then after I went to Buffalo and I played defensive end, I started as defensive end, and then the last ball game of '68, the last three, we had one of the guards got hurt, and nobody didn't have a backup guard. And Al B. Miller was the center at that time.
Okay.
But Al could play guard. We didn't have a center. So Howard, you played center in college? Yeah. So they moved me to center, and I became center ever since. Then in '69 and '70, we had a situation come up where the whole left side of the line, Billy Shaw and Al B. and our left tackle, retired. Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't have anybody. They had a rookie come in to play our left tackle, and it wasn't going to work, so they moved me to left tackle. I played tackle all year.
Okay. And
then in '71, coming back, I was center and tackle, and all this time I snapped and punted field goals anyway. But I did something somewhere along the line to catch Shula's eye, and that was whatever it was. I never did ask him what it was, but anyway, he wouldn't have given up. He wouldn't have traded a defensive tackle in the 5th round draft choice for nothing,
I would venture a guess and say that not only Don Shula, but somebody at that level just did not miss a single detail about anything. He probably knew the Bills' personnel better than they knew the Bills' personnel.
Yeah. That's right. Bobby Beathard was our personnel manager.
Right. Yeah. Beathard and Joe Thomas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they knew exactly. They knew what they was getting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, I was going to say either that or he asked around the locker room when you played with Larry Little in San Diego for a year, right?
Yeah, Larry Little. And Marlon Briscoe was traded up there for Buffalo also, and Jim Dunaway. We went up there, all three of us went up there together.
Okay.
And, actually, they went up there, and I came up right after training camp started. But we always joke about that. Marlon and I, bless his heart, he's gone, but we always joked about from 113 to 17-0. That's a hell of a jump.
That's the opposite end of the spectrum there.
It is.
Yes, sir.
But we had a lot of fun.
No, it sounds that way. Well, so at this point, you had retired after the '71 season. You'd already started the business.
Yes.
Started your business, and then you got a couple calls from Don Shula, and then another one from Monty Clark.
Right.
And they convinced you to unretire.
Yes.
And then Monty gave you until the 3rd preseason game to get ready.
That's correct. That's right.
You were retired. You hadn't been working out at that point.
No, I hadn't. I hadn't worked out a lick.
Right.
I was fully into my business.
Sure.
And I might go to a health club and do a little light workout or something, but I wasn't running. I wasn't in football shape by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, after Shula called twice and Monty called one time, and he said, and I told him, I said, Coach, I'd love to. I wish the hell this was 2-3 years ago. I'd love to play for you. I mean, I'm really kind of in awe that you'd even think about me, but I'm come down there and embarrass myself. I don't want to do that. He said, I'll give it till the 3rd game of the season to get in shape. And this was a 2nd exhibition game.
Right.
I'm thinking, well, I'll get in shape in that period of time, but not only that, 3rd game, I'm going to be, that gives me another year of retirement, So
that's right.
So I said, okay. And it wasn't a money thing. They give me more than I was making in Buffalo, but it wasn't a big, like a double your salary. That wasn't a deal. Mm-hmm. And so I went back and ended up playing I didn't play in the second, but anyway, won 2 Super Bowls, and that was unbelievable. And ended up playing another 4 years, really.
No, that's that's a great part of the story.
Yeah, it is.
So once you got to Miami at that time, I read an interview, and I think it might have been even from the '72 season where you said that the biggest difference was was the coaching and the preparedness and the organization.
Right.
They didn't miss a single detail about things. It was just in such stark contrast.
That's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. And Buffalo, from the time I got there in '67, in '68, '69, '70, and '71, we had some good football players in Buffalo. I mean, we had some really good football players, but we had no leadership whatsoever.
Right.
None. Zero. I love Ralph Wilson, was one of the best owners. He was a great guy, but from a coaching staff, and we had no leadership whatsoever. It's like you know what you're supposed to do, now go do it. It don't work like that.
Right.
I come to Miami with Shula, and it was almost like I call it an epiphany, because of the way that he prepared for everything, the attention to detail. You know, there was nothing that put on. You knew every situation that could come up, and we went over it and over it and over it and over it
right.
in the meetings, in our chalk talks, in our walkthroughs, on practice field.
Yep.
And so it was it's almost like a crack combat team. I'm not comparing this to combat. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I'm an old Marine, but anyway,
understood.
The timing and everybody's together on the same page always. Everybody.
Well, there's some similarities there. So.
Yeah, it is. But we're not going out there and get shot at. That's what.
Yes, sir.
You know, but it makes all the difference in the world. And he was the kind of guy. Shula was we had rules, but it wasn't. First, you'd never late. Don't ever be late.
Right.
That's one thing. And Larry and Zonk and I talk about today, and all the guys would get together. We would not be late. Just won't be late. And the second thing was, when you don't ever talk about your teammates. Never. You never ever criticize your teammates or your coaches. If you want anything to go sit in his office, you can criticize all you want to.
That's right.
But you don't ever do it in public. Never criticize. Mm-hmm. And you always dress decently, where you represent the Miami Dolphins or whoever, dress, appropriately. You don't have to walk around after 6 or something, but you have to. And always work every day to be the best you can be.
Right.
And that's pretty much what he's all about.
Yeah. No, that's.
And so it's not that complex. It's just it's a discipline thing.
Well, I think it's discipline, but to me it's just wanting to be great and to be the absolute very best that you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a quick example here. He opened a Shula's restaurant downtown on Louisiana Street. Yeah. This has been like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And my wife and I were in line to meet him, get a couple autographs, something like that. And we were getting an autograph for one of my wife's nephews, who was a Dolphins fan. And he said, well, is there something better? Is there a napkin here that I can sign, or something that, I mean, just the smallest thing, like not just some scrap of paper, but just something that looked nicer.
Yeah.
He even had, I'm sure my wife is probably not gonna be happy for telling the story, but so that was a really big deal to me. I wanted to go and meet Coach Shula. I knew that was probably the only time I was gonna get to do that. And he had signed these little mini footballs, these little restaurant footballs. Yeah. And so he put out however many it was, and this woman in front of me got the last football. And you would have thought somebody shot my dog, because I wanted one so bad. So I come back to the bar, and my wife sees the look on my face. She's like, "Oh no, what happened?" I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said the woman in front of me got the last football. She's like, "Look, just get a beer, hang on, calm down. Let me go back over there, and let me ask and see if there's any chance they have one." Well, sure enough, they had some, but there was, I don't know, like a couple dozen or so, but he didn't want them put out because they had smudges on them. They didn't look just perfect.
Yeah, that's.
And so to me, I know it's a small example, but just in everything.
That's what it is. That's the way he was. That's the way he was. He was a stickler for that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
And it showed with everything he's ever done. We tease a lot about perfect season was a rare thing, no question about that. But it's almost, if there's anybody who would ever have done it, it was him.
Right.
Because he was, I won't say he's obsessed.
Right.
Well, I might say he's obsessed, but he was not going to be defeated. This wasn't going to be denied.
Well, along those lines, this is going to segue into my next question. How difficult was that training camp with all the sessions? You had to live in the dorms, and you didn't have water on the field.
No, we haven't no water. We never had water on the field. And
did that end after training camp? So you had it during the regular season, or did you ever have it?
No, during the regular season, we always had water on the bench. Gatorade or whatever.
Sure.
Well, yeah, we always had water. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was just during training camp.
Training
that you
camp,
didn't have anything.
yeah. But
Wow.
the big thing was, we went to play Kansas City in Kansas City, opening day in '72, and it was I think it was 118, 120 on the field up there. It was hot, man. It was really hot.
Well, it was coming off that AstroTurf.
Yeah,
too.
and it was really hot. No, it wasn't, but about maybe 95, out in the stadium. But that coming off, it was hot.
Yeah.
And we beat them a couple touchdowns, but we beat them in the fourth quarter because I never seen the Kansas City Chiefs are a great football team. There's no question about that time. Lynn Dawson and all those guys. I mean, they were really good. And we beat them the year before, or Miami had beat them the year before in the championship, in the playoff game in Kansas, the longest game ever played.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't quit in the fourth quarter. They just were spent.
Yeah.
They couldn't move. They could not. It would just run all over them. And they were just gone. And here we were, it's like camels. We didn't drink 10 gallons of water and then go play. Right. You can run forever, And so it was one of those things that's what he always said. We're going to win because we're going to have a better game plan. We're going to be better coached. We're going to be in better shape, and we're not going to make mistakes. And that was pretty much his whole philosophy, and that's what it comes down to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, what do you remember about training camp that year, and how did you get yourself ready for that without having water on the field and that type of thing?
You just suffer through it. Everybody would like to have a drink, but I mean, it was just one of those. It was a discipline thing.
Yep.
Get yourself in shape where you don't need a drink.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure you hydrate yourself well before practice, because we never had no 4-hour practices, or 3-hour practices. I don't ever remember us practice more than an hour and 50 minutes. Shula had it all broken down. Now, during that hour and 50 minutes, most teams might work out for 3 hours, but they trot here, and they trot there, and they go through this. They're out there for 3 hours. We're out there for an hour and 45 minutes. It's wide ass open.
Right.
You sprint to your next drill. You sprint here, you sprint there, you run the play, you sprint through the play. It's a crisp, not full to blocking and tackling, but it's crisp. If it's offensive period, the offense dictates the speed of things going, and the same way the defense. When they're during defensive period, the defense dictates the speed of things, because there's a good pop initially, bam, then it kind of leave off instead of following through. So that was his whole thing. And if you couldn't go without water for an hour and 45 minutes, you wouldn't, you couldn't play for Shula.
That's a lot shorter period of time than I thought it might be, but it doesn't surprise me because he was going to make the most of every minute.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. And he had it down to the minute.
Yeah,
and he had his son was there, and when that period's over, he blew the whistle. Okay, let's move to the next drill, and then boom, we sprint the
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, the practices were, like I say, they were crisp and all that. But after practice, everybody stayed out to do a little extra work. You think, well, after practice, we're done, we're going in. No. I stay out, I might snap 10 or 15 punts, or I might take a couple pass rushes from, or do work on a couple C blocks, or a couple, pull a couple, just something extra, maybe 5-10 minutes, not no 30 minutes, but do something extra every day. Everybody did.
Just something real specific to your position.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No, very good. Well,
because we always had to run gassers after practice. After practice, we ran gassers. That was number one.
Right.
After the gassers, that's when everybody stayed out and done a little extra stuff. Well,
he would run the gassers with you guys, wouldn't he?
Well, he'd run at it. Yeah, he'd run. Yeah, with the quarterbacks. He and Earl would run them.
I remember. I've seen some pictures.
Yeah.
Where he and the Earl and Bob were doing the down and backs, and Del Queso too, I guess.
No, he stayed pretty good shape.
Yeah,
he was.
No, he did.
But all the people I played for, he's one of the most amazing people I've ever ran across. I've always said that he's. My wife teased me and all of our kids because they were raised on Shula time, as we called it.
Yeah.
I said, well, they were raised on Shula time, and but they're all very successful.
And there's a reason they were instilled with that.
So it was, but he didn't change my philosophy on life. He never changed my overall beliefs. He never changed my anything about me, my principles and my values. But he sure as hell changed the way I approach things.
Sure.
Big time. I mean, when you approach things the way he had, a systematic way of approaching things, and when it was all over and said and done, he gave you the best opportunity to win. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Put you in, but it was his philosophy. We're going to do the things that put you in the best position to be successful.
Yes, sir.
Whether it's on a football field or wherever. So, I'm going to get can we cut this a minute?
Sure.
I'm going to get a beer.
Yes, sir.
You want one?
Yeah, sure.
All right,
please,
good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You tell my man to read.
Oh, yeah. You still getting around okay these days?
Yeah, I'll get around all right.
We're taking a quick break here, everybody. Mr. Kindig is grabbing us a couple of beers for the podcast, so we'll be right back here in just a moment.
Let me get you one of these holders here.
Thank you very much.
All right, man.
Yes, sir.
This is my Sunday afternoon.
All right. Just set that up here so I can get you on the thing. All right.
That's better than water.
Indeed, it is.
That's what we'll go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. So one more on the training camp. How did you mentioned that your time in the Marines, it helped you with the style of training camp that Shula had. How did that help you?
Well, the Marine Corps was one of those things that first of all, they tried to break you down all the way, then build you back. Right. Shula wasn't for breaking you down. You come there where he was one that wanted to. You're going to have to buy into what his program is.
Right.
Everybody has to buy. You have to be on the same page. You can't have somebody off over here creating distractions and all that. He won't put up with that. And so that's pretty much the way Marine Corps boot camp was back in the day when I went. This was back in the 60s. It's not anywhere near what it was today, what it was back then.
Sure.
It wasn't brutal, but it was probably, like Navy SEAL boot camp and all that stuff. They do a lot of stuff. It's not quite as tough as the SEALs. Don't get me wrong, or
sure.
the Rangers, because that's a crack outfit. They do.
Oh, yeah.
They handpick the people.
Yeah.
But it was difficult, physical and mental combined.
Right.
It was very difficult. So you had to be very disciplined to handle it. And so that's what the Marine Corps helped me tremendously. No question about that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a physically demanding.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Operation on both sides.
It's kind of like I was talking to Larry. I said I've done all this stuff. I've been over the side of a ship on a rope ladder, down and getting on a boat and running up on the back, but nobody was shooting at me.
True.
That's a hell of a difference.
Yes, sir.
That's like running down under a kickoff on Saturday afternoon when ain't nobody messing with in shorts.
Yeah.
It's a whole different deal, man, when somebody's shooting at you. So, and just having that experience is one thing, but can you imagine doing that when I mean, there's nothing but machine gun fire coming at you? Oh, that's why I use the terminology of some of this stuff with some of our fighting guys, but
yes, sir.
It's not anywhere. It don't even come close to what they're doing.
I understood.
So
understood. Well, those are literally life and death situations.
Oh yeah, they are.
They're not just football.
Yeah, they are. Sure are.
So Shula rode you guys pretty hard that year. At some point, I don't know whose thought it was. I know who got the alligator out of the swamp. I've got a pretty good idea. But were you there? I mean,
yeah,
what do you recall about the locker room and then you guys putting that gator in?
Well, it was a training camp in '74. I was traded. Matter of fact, I was traded the day that they found that damn alligator in his locker. Anyway, it was Manny Fernandez and Bill Stanfield. Mm-hmm. They were big hunters, and Zonk was a big hunter. Mm-hmm. And they'd been out early that morning in the Everglades and come back with it was about the alligator had to be 4 feet long, you know. Mm-hmm. He probably wouldn't, if he bit you, it hurt like hell, you know. He had a head only about that big around, you know. So anyway, they decided they were going to put him in Shula's shower.
Yep.
So they got his secretary's attention, you know, and they taped his mouth,
right?
So it wouldn't anyway come in and put him in the shower. And anyway, when Shula went in to take a shower, he went nuts, man. He was he blamed Zonka. Everybody blames Zonka. Zonka got blamed for every damn thing.
Either Zonka or Kick for that one.
Yeah, but Jim had nothing to do with it. Jim was just there, you know. He was there, but he didn't. Jim's not a hunter. He didn't go hunting.
Sure.
You know, but Kick gets blamed for everything. He and Zonk both. It's amazing. We were sitting it was in '73. We got back to training camp, and Shula was giving a speech. He said, "Our objective this year is to do exactly what we did last year." And Zonk said, "Who's going to break Greasy's leg in the 5th ball game?" Boy, I want to see you in my office with that. But Zonk's always like that. But no, the alligator. I forget who come in and got it. But it was Manny and Stanfield and Zonk who's the one. That's the one that. And he used to blame Kick off. Kick said, I'm the guy. It was my vote that tied his mouth up. Everybody else wanted to leave the damn thing open. So and we laughed about that.
You know, he at least I think had the was good natured about it. Like, hey, I've been riding you guys pretty hard. I get it, type of thing. You know? Yeah,
he was. He knew when to back off. You know, he'd challenge you, but he knew when to back off. And he had a sense of humor. But you know, sure. you had to kind of look for it. But he had a sense of humor. I remember we had in '73 we had Howard Cosell and all the ABC people were down there doing this big film thing on the '72 Dolphins, and they had all these, you know, all the cameras out there, the whatever you call them, those big aluminum, the tinfoil, the sun shines off it, so you get there anyway. All the cameras and all that stuff, and we were scheduled for about an hour and 50-minute practice, and then we run our game. Anyway, we're down there, and then we were wanted maybe practice maybe an hour, maybe not quite an hour, and all of a sudden, the cameras are all on him. They got cameras on, you know, looking up at him and getting every angle they could get on him. And finally, he blew his whistle and called everybody up and said, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our gases. We're going to take it in." Jake said, "Are you sick? What the hell's wrong with you?" He said, "I'm tired of holding my stomach in." So he cut practice short. So he was tired of holding his stomach in for all those angles they were taking on him. But you know, that kind of humor, he was always good at something. He was quick-witted as it be.
Oh yeah,
yeah, very quick-witted.
He was sharp. He was sharp, yes sir. So what was your relationship like with Coach Shula, and how did we talked a little bit about playing for him, but how did that? I mean, really, anyone. How did that create the opportunities for you guys in business life?
I never questioned him. You know, a lot of guys, whatever decision he made, they might question. I don't know why he did that. I never questioned it. I never questioned anything he ever done. When the decision that was made not to give me a ring in for the '73 season, that was made by Robbie.
Sure.
Robbie made that decision. Yeah. That wasn't Shula. But everybody said, why in the hell don't everybody? Why didn't you get a ring? Hell, you know damn well you'd have been here. You just But I said I never questioned it. Never said anything about it. But that was the way he ran things and the way he, I guess, treated people. You always knew where you stood with him. It was no. You knew what was expected of you, and you knew if you were on the bubble, mm-hmm. You knew it. If you didn't, he was just as fair as he could be. But at the same time, you had to perform. It wasn't there wasn't no ifs, ands, buts about it. It was, so we were fortunate to have 45 guys. O'Gara was a kicker, but 44 guys that at their position, you wouldn't hesitate to put anybody in any situation in the ball game and not feel like you'll be successful. So we had 45 guys could play.
Yep.
Now you always want to be your number one guys in there because they've been working together, but you got some backups that can handle it just as well. So
no, absolutely.
That was our secret, really. We had some great guys that can play.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. There's so much value in what he guys taught you that you're able to take to your businesses.
Well, it was pretty much his basic philosophy more than anything else.
Yeah.
That if you think you could get it without working your ass off, you can forget it.
Yeah.
Anything in life worthwhile has to be worked for hard. I don't care what it is, money, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. You have to work. It has to be a challenge for it to be enjoyable. And the more the challenge, the more the enjoyment is when it's over.
That's right.
And I found that, and we've been through some challenges, my wife and I both, and we always found, but pretty much by that, we're going to get through this. When we're through with it, we're going to be better for it, and it's always turned out like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm still going to keep living like that. So,
yes,
whether it's midnight tonight or 20 years from now, I've got the same beliefs, the same philosophy, the same attitude, the same, and that's just it basically come from a combination of things, but most of it come from him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You mentioned to me when we spoke about a week or so ago that when you got to Miami, that the crime rate was pretty high.
Yes, it was.
But once the team started winning, and they were winning every week, that the crime rate just really dropped. And is that something that kind of galvanized the city of Miami?
Yeah, I think it is. In '66, Miami was kind of it was a boiling pot. Mm-hmm. In '65, this is right after the civil rights and all this stuff. And right. All right, really, you got a Cuban connection, you got a Mexican connection, you got a black connection, you got I don't know, all different kind of Jewish, everything. Mm-hmm. It's all, and it was really a hodgepodge of a lot of things. There was a lot of, I don't want to call it turmoil, but I guess that's what it is going on. And when the Dolphins came, it gave everybody a little something to grab onto that they could together
and be a part
of it.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins were losing, and then when Shula came, it started winning. Then the crime wave did drop. I think you look back and you check and see what it was big time.
I bet it did, because you had the criminal element gathered around TVs instead of trying to.
And it was and the Orange Bowl was in a bad part of the neighborhood anyway down there, But you could go to the Orange Bowl and wouldn't have any problems. It made a big difference. And I think we talked about this in the mountains here a couple of weeks ago, Zonk and I, that some of the old guys, but some of the old writers down there ought to maybe do a little something to that. Because when you got people that's got an interest, a common interest that they can really latch into. I'm not talking about it doesn't have to be religion. It doesn't have to be. You don't even have to be a religious person. Don't even be an atheist, but you can latch into something that you believe and you have fun with, and it becomes part of you. You become part of, and you can enjoy it. I'm not saying it right, but it makes a hell of a difference.
It does, and that's the kind of thing that really, I mean, no matter which team, sport, city, whatever, it does bring everyone together.
That's right. Sure does.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as the season went on, even after Greasy had been hurt, or Morrill steps in, he's the team's MVP, Sporting News Player of the Year, all that. So, at what point did it become evident that the team had a chance to make history? Or did you guys even think about that?
No. Well, after our 10th ball game, we beat the Jets. I think we Jets played 10. Anyway,
yes, sir. It was the Jets on that.
Anyway, after the 10th ball game, we had wrapped up the Eastern Division, so we knew we were going to be in the championship game or the playoffs,
right.
Put it like that. Well, you'd have thought we just got our ass kicked. We were in that locker room, and Shula he was on fire. He was running around doing this, and the assistant coaches were all, and we said, man, we didn't get beat, did we? But that was his way of saying, now we got to really go. We got to push now. Now's the time to go. We kept thinking, well, maybe we might, we lose the ball game and ain't gonna make it because we're still gonna be in it. But after we win this, well, we're not going up there. The Giants are not going. We're gonna kick the Giants' ass. There we go. No, we're not. Baltimore. We're gonna kick Baltimore's ass.
Yeah.
Then the last,
Yeah, it does. St. Louis
Cardinals. So it did 1-1-1. So pretty soon we're talking about 16-0. Now, well, we ain't going. Or we're 14-0.
Right.
We're not going to. Now this, comes down to nitty gritty now.
Yep.
So when we were behind against the Browns, playoff game.
Yeah.
We were behind in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And yet we come back to beat them. The only thing we wasn't behind on was the Redskins. And we beat the living crap out of the Redskins.
Yep.
I had some old friends. I love them to death. Ron McDole, Pat Fisher played for the Redskins, and they were in Baton Rouge, and George Allen wouldn't let them see the game, the films.
Okay.
They thought they had a chance to win. They thought they didn't play that bad. So anyway, we're sitting in my living room, actually my den in Baton Rouge, and I put on the 72, the game, and they said, "My God, we had no idea. You all just kicked the living crap out of us." Yeah, we did. We really did. Should have been 24-0.
Yeah.
But but anyway, it was Shula was anybody. He went and sat in that Coliseum from noon to 4:00, charting where the sun is going to be at different times.
In the week before.
Yeah, just so. If we got the ball and the sun's shining this way, we're on our 20. Where will the sun be? Who to throw to? Think about that, man. Who in the hell would have ever thought about that?
Don Shula.
Don Shula. He got that right.
Yeah, that was such an amazing part of that special.
Yeah.
To see that and see Zonka pull that file out and to open that and say, wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. But that speaks to his greatness. Hey, Don, we got a black lab down here. How you doing? Yeah. So were there...
Madonna, get over here. Go on. Come on, girl. Get on. Go on.
Was there any one of those games that was just really way too close to comfort for you? Where you thought that maybe that might be the one where...
Minnesota. It was close. It come down. We was down in the last minute or 2 minutes before we scored.
And the great thing about that is that Minnesota was there for you. We played Minnesota in a preseason game, exhibition, and they reacted to a certain play a certain way, and Greasy had that in his back pocket.
Yeah.
And then he called that tight end delay to Mandich.
That's right.
And he's wide open there. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. On that touchdown.
See, that's people don't realize that Greasy called his own plays. So did Earl. I mean, he didn't run in plays. Maybe once in a while he might run somebody in there and say we put it run, but he had the right to override whatever it was.
Yeah.
He set him up himself. Greasy's smart as hell.
Oh yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, and he didn't have an armband with 400 plays on it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was Bob Greasy's Greasy's Greasy.
Oh yeah.
The guy's I think he's probably one of the best announcers there ever was when it comes down to it. He and I forget his name, his announcing buddy, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
They're in the announcing Hall of Fame, I think.
Yes, sir.
He's done a terrific job. He's a special guy.
And everybody on that team is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in every individual way, there's.
Well, I think it's probably the most intelligent football team I've ever been around, for sure. And of course, that was Shula. He handpicked everybody. But everybody on that team after football became successful in whatever endeavor they chose, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's rare. That's very rare.
There are a lot of. I mean, there are several businesses that you guys individually have. I can think of off the top of my head with Doug Cruz and Vernon Herter, Manny Fernandez, Tim Foley with the Amway.
Oh yeah,
all those guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Howard Twilley at Foot Locker, his shoe, those athletic shoes. He built that thing into a multi-million-dollar business. And he's done very well with it. And Den Herter raised, I don't know how many thousand acres he's farming up there now. I think he's probably about half retired now. Mm-hmm. But there's some really, and Boone and Connie, his lawyers, Ed Swift, the doctor. We had, it was just some really, really very intelligent guys. And of course, you got Jake Scott. Jake's as smart as probably.
Oh, man, between he and Dick Anderson and those real estate investments and the places they had.
Oh yeah, they've done well with it.
Oh yeah,
and but it was a fun run, and I'm just proud to be part of it.
Yes, sir. Well, you certainly contributed a great deal to that, and I'm going to ask you about this next play at Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game. You had a key block on one of their guys, a guy named Steve Furness, if I have it right, and you helped Larry Seipel get down the field as far as he did. Could you describe that play and that whole sequence?
Well, we had to punt, and I had no idea what he was going to do. Nobody knew it. He did. I didn't know he was going to run it, and I didn't. The first thing you do after you snap a football, you got to sit there and you count distance punts now.
Okay.
After you let it go, it's like 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. About 1,003, he's supposed to have kicked the ball. Right? Mm-hmm. Well, I said 1,001, 1,002, and I heard oh. Well, that don't sound good. That and didn't hear the hit. You hear that ball? I didn't hear that. And I saw what he was doing. Then we took off downfield. But I didn't have any idea what he was doing. He did that on his own. He could do that. If Shula gave it, he'd know. But he said, "You better make it." which meant if you don't make it, you ain't going home with us.
That's right. Right. Well, I guess either Seipel or somebody on special teams or Shula himself had seen that they weren't keeping the punter honest.
No,
they were peeling back early, even just a split second or two. That's all you need.
That's right. Well, they come in from the right side, actually from our right side, their left side. Uh-huh. They come in and they just come up and then they cut. And by the time when he kicked it, they were usually in front of him, but way in front of him, trying to.
Yeah.
Well, this time he saw they did it twice, and then the third time he ran it.
Yep.
But he told Shula, he said, "It's open. You better make it." So, but anyway, Larry Seipels, well, he's a hell of an athlete anyway. Terrific athlete.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he probably made me look good by the way he handled the snaps back there, you know. I thought I was a good snapper. He was a good, he'd pick him up off the ground or grab him. He was a good one.
Well, he was a receiver or tight end also, wasn't he?
Tight end, yeah.
Is that right?
And he could play quarterback.
Oh, man.
He could play running back. He was a great athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great athlete.
No, well, he really pulled that off, and it was just he timed that perfectly.
It was a big play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was going to ask you about this, but we talked about the legacy of Coach Shula and flying out and checking the time, the sun chart and the sundial and everything else, and that really absolutely again speaks to the legacy of his greatness. But what were the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl like? And he's got practices sealed off and all this other stuff.
Well, the year before I went to play the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. This is what they're telling me. I wasn't there. I was in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. But the week before, the first week of practice, they were just, beating the hell out of each other. Really, fired up. And then the second week, they kind of eased off and they were in New Orleans. Didn't work out going into the French Quarter. This time, the first week was, and when we got to Los Angeles, that's when it started picking up. It was, you could see the tempo of everything was building. And even on the Friday before the Sunday ball game, we were knocking the shit out of each other. And so, but it was just in preparedness, so we were ready to play, no question about that.
Oh, yeah.
But the practice was always the same. He never veered from practice. We had the same thing every practice on Tuesday, the same as it was Tuesday before, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Never changed. It's what he was, that was his pretty much way he run things.
Well, he was, obviously a creature of habit, but he was going to uncover all those details and route to the stadium that the bus is going to take from the hotel and all that stuff. Yeah. I'll jump in with another quick example here from Coach Shula. It was later in his career, and the team had to make a cross country flight from Miami all the way up to Seattle.
Yeah.
And he sent a couple of his guys out there, the week before, and then darndest thing if the bus doesn't get delayed by a train or Amtrak, whatever it is. And he looks at his guys, he's like, what'd you guys do out here all week? Right. This is exactly what I was asking you about. Right. So we didn't have this kind of delay. And so now they've made this cross country flight, and then they're already tired. And then you got to wait that much longer.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's him. That's Shula.
Yes, sir. So what was the day of the game like for the actual Super Bowl itself? What was that day like for you?
Pretty much like any other game. Matter of fact, it was like any other game. The adrenaline's flowing. You're concentrating on who you're going to have to play against, on what your job is, and you don't really give a thought. You never hear the crowd. You don't hear nobody hollering. You don't hear nobody. You're oblivious to everything except what you got to do yourself.
Right.
And I think. When the ball game's over, it still really hadn't sunk in what we've just done.
Well, you and Jake Scott had run off the field together.
Yeah, well,
and you had that thought.
Well, we were in the locker room after the ball game was over, and everybody was laughing, and Jake got the MVP.
Yeah,
and we were hugging each other and all that stuff, and champagne and all, And Jake said offhand. He said, we don't realize what we just did. Just offhand, that's just, not like a gang, look here. He didn't say it like that. He said, just he and I, said, we don't realize what we just did. It's almost like this is unbelievable. This is, and it really, we didn't. We won the Super Bowl, but we didn't realize the ramification or the overall significance of what we had just done.
It was the next game on the schedule.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even at the parties and all that stuff the night before, and the training camp next year, it never crossed our minds that this thing would last 50 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And but it was probably as great a accomplishment as there's ever been in sports history from a championship standpoint. You know, I mean, Rocky Marciano never lost a fight.
Right.
That's a great thing. I mean, that's, you know, you can't. But in the National Football League, and this applies only to the National Football League, it's never been done before, and or since. And the guys have won undefeated, but they lost.
Yep.
And so, in New England, you know,
yep.
They come so damn close. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was. And Tyree had that ball. He caught a ball, had it held to his head. I mean, that's fate. I don't care. You know, you can't draw that up.
No.
That's and so.
Just hand of God on that.
Yeah, whatever it is, you can have anything you want to think about it, but you don't. That wasn't a planned play, that's for sure. It might be planned when he caught it, but not like that.
No. Uh-huh.
But no, it's a rare thing. I was happy about it anyway. But usually when they after someone is 10-0, phone starts ringing. All these guys, you know. And after it's 14-0, oh yeah, now then everybody wants to talk about it, you know.
Right.
But this year it's kind of over with. But I had a guy from Boston call me. I forget anyway. He asked me. He said, "What do you think about how would you play against how would the Dolphins fare against our team?" And this was after they got beaten. And I said, well, I don't think there's any question about it. You got a great football team. They'd probably beat us with 5 touchdowns. You really think we're that good? And I said, well, we're 60 years old. Oh, he started laughing, you know. I said, hell yeah, we'd beat them. What do you think, man? And we beat everybody. So right. You can't say you. So anyway, it was funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you about a couple plays here in Super Bowl VII. So we talked a little bit about the illegal procedure penalty against Harold McClinton, and he knocked the ball away from you as you snapped it, and that prolonged the current drive. And Redskins coach George Allen said that afterwards that was one of the key plays of Miami winning. What do you remember about that play?
I've never seen anything like that before. I snapped 1,000 punts. Well, I don't know 1,000 by myself. Probably have snapped 1,000 punts.
Yeah.
In all the years, but I've never seen anybody. Usually they line up, you know. Butkus used to line up about 2 yards off the ball and try to get a running start. And as soon as you let that ball go, just take your head off, you know. And I always call out, that's cheap as hell, you know. Mm-hmm. But I tell you about Butkus, he and I knew each other. He not only will take a shot at you when your head's down, he'd take a shot at you when you looked him in the eye. So I don't, you know, Butkus is just an aggressive guy. That's an artist. But he was one hell of a football player. But I've never seen anybody that would got down on their knees and put their elbow on the ground and put their hand right there. I mean, just that far from the tip of the ball, you know. And I didn't have any idea what he was doing. And he did that every time we snapped the ball after that. We snapped, I think we had, 3, 4 punts, 2 or 3 punts after that.
Yeah.
Kept trying to intimidate me, you know. And I was telling you before, Ron McDowell we played together at Buffalo for years.
Yeah.
And they had actually it was a contest in Washington to see who could, you know, because they knew that I picked the ball up slightly. Well, now every kid in the league picks it up on the way back. Takes the friction off of it. You know, you can't.
Are you picking it up at the front?
No, the ball. The tip of the ball is right here.
Yep.
And you got to lift it just about that far off the ground on its way back. Because if you slide it on the ground, it's got a little friction on it. It takes something off the ball. So it's a quick boom, just like that. But usually when you tighten your fingers up, your fingers will turn white when you get a grip on the ball. And that's when they know to slap it out of your hand. But anyway, that's what he tried to do. but Noel was telling him, he said, look, I've been playing with Howard for years and years, and you're not going to intimidate him. You can forget about that, you might could trick him, but you ain't going to intimidate him. And so that's what they did. And when they slapped that ball, I mean, it shocked the hell out of me. I never had that happen before. And, of course, they recovered it.
Yeah.
Now, it was, and when I I was going to the sidelines over after they recovered it, to give them the ball, and Shula was, wondering what the hell is going on. I said, he slapped the ball out of my hand, and I'm telling the referee that he slapped it. Either way, the head linesman is the only one that saw it. And they called a penalty on him, and we got the ball back and went in and scored. But I wasn't worried so much about us losing the ball as I was Dale Shields was going to say I got the sideline. Well, but he knew exactly what had happened, and he didn't like it at all. He thought that was cheap, very cheap, and it was.
Well, and he was looking. I'm sure he was looking all the way down the line, down the line of scrimmage to be able to right there on it to see, and the referee's got it right, and that's the most important thing.
But it was a big time play.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Because it turned things around to give instead of them getting the ball, we got the ball back and went in and scored. So
Yep.
And it was never a contest after that.
Yeah.
Thought it was after they blocked that punt, after they blocked the kick. But
well, and that's my next question. So how close did Garrow come to actually meeting his maker after that happened?
Nobody. I think after Nick had mentioned something to him about
Nick or Manny Fernandez.
Yeah, Manny said, "You little son of a bitch, if we lose this ball game, I'm gonna kill your ass." But no, Manny was tough on him, really tough on him.
Oh yeah.
But he hit it low. It wasn't blocked. He hit Bob Hines in the back.
He hit him right in the back of the helmet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that was it. He hit it very low, and I wasn't paying much attention to him during the ball. I don't pay much attention to how he's kicking it during the warm-ups. Mm-hmm. I'm just making sure that I get it back there where he can get it, where Earl could get it down,
Yeah.
And but he kept saying something wasn't right. He just didn't feel right, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And but Garrow was I never held it against him. I never, crap happens, man. That little guy saved our bacon a lot of times. He's a hell of a kicker.
He was, and his overall lifetime field goal percentage was right there with, somebody like Jan Stenerud from Kansas City, like around 64%.
Yeah, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
So I mean, Garrow had the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame for all the years he kicked. And but it was one of those things that I think some of the sports writers and stuff didn't cut. He wasn't. I don't know. I won't say anything. It didn't jive with each other, so they didn't get along. They got along, but I don't know. They didn't give him the accolades that he should have gotten. That's what I'm giving Garrow the credit that he should have gotten for what he'd done. He never got that.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of sounds like they held that against him.
Yeah.
And it happened at a really big, inopportune moment in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've said this many times, he's the best field goal kicker I ever played with.
I think so. I mean, he made some really big kicks. He made the one in Kansas City in the playoffs the year before, longest game ever on Christmas Day, and then he made several long kicks that kept the team in the games and were key factors.
He did that in Minnesota. Made a 52-year, whatever it was, in
Minnesota, and then Buffalo as well.
Yeah. It's funny. He said he kept telling Shula, I can make it. Shula looked at him and said, when he went out, he made it 52 yards. He said, he come to the sideline and said, what was the longest field goal you ever made before? And he said, 50. He said, what made you think you can make that? He said, I needed a job. So that was Garrow. Garrow, he's always something. Figuring a way to make money, whether it's making ties or whatever it was.
Yeah,
he was all right.
No, absolutely. Let me ask you a couple more things about that play. So, so he tries to pick it up, and then he bats it. He bats it up in the air. Mike Bass comes from the other side, catches it, and then he takes off down that sideline. Did you think that Garrow had a chance to catch him right there, or even knock him out of bounds?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, with the angle and whatnot.
We probably would. If Garrow was a football player,
Right.
If it had been Lloyd Mumford, or if it had been one of the cornerback, or if it had been anybody, a football player,
Yep.
yeah, he'd have done it. But Garrow was a kicker. Garrow, he's made a couple tackles on when somebody got by on a kickoff or something like that. But Garrow he's not a football player.
Yeah.
Garrow's a kicker.
And I mean,
That's a hell of a difference.
Yeah, beat me to it.
Seipel is a punter. As a football player, or a football player as a punter. Paul McGuire was one of the best punters along. He's a football player that could punt.
Right.
Now, Gerald Wilson in Kansas City, Gerald Wilson was a punter.
Okay.
He wasn't a football player. Oh, well, he's a hell of a good punter. But
yeah.
And so was Reggie, remember the guy from Miami, the big kid that punted all this,
Reggie Roby?
Roby, yeah. He was a punter. He wasn't a football player.
Right.
So that would be the difference. Yeah, Garrow was he's a kicker, and had it been this is pure conjecture on my part. I don't hold that against Garrow at all, because he's not trained to do that.
Right. What did you see on that play? I mean, because I
was in the middle of it, and I heard it hit, bam.
Right.
And all of a sudden I turned around and I saw him, so I took off after him.
You almost caught Mike Bass.
I almost caught him, but it was if I got close enough to him where I could, reach out and snap, hit him or something, I might have jarred it. But he's a defensive back, man. He's fast.
That's right.
I mean, for a big man, I had pretty good speed too, but I was on his tail, but I never caught him. That crossed my mind to join him in the end zone. Now we'd get a 15-yard penalty, and Sheila wouldn't put up with that. No, I would never done that anyway.
No, sir. No. I noticed that. I watched a replay of it a couple nights ago doing my research, and I was like, wow, there's number 54 in hot pursuit. Yeah. I tell you what, let me interject here with something real quick. What amazes me so much is how much speed guys your size actually have. It's really impressive. Yeah.
I played at 260, 270, and I ran a 4.8 40.
Yeah.
And now they got guys that weigh 325 that run a 4.8 40 or 4.7 40.
Wow.
That's a hell of a difference, man.
Oh yeah.
Big, Of course, I don't know. Today it's all push and shove. It's not really big time. The hitting in the offensive line doesn't go on like it used to. And you can't chop block, and you can't crack back, and you can't anyway. But I'm not taking the risk. It's good for the kids. I mean, it saves a lot of people's knees and all that stuff.
That's right.
But these big kids today, big offensive, defensive line, it's mostly just engaged and push and shove,
Oh yeah.
So, but anyway.
No. What I mentioned here just a minute ago that we all forget that the Garrow made a lot of big kicks for the team, and but you were also the guy that had to deliver a good snap and not bounce it back to Larry Seipel or a Morrill on a field goal. So that's certainly a big contribution as well.
Well, it is. It's nothing can take away from a team morale quicker than a bad snap, or snapping the ball over a punter's head, or having a kickoff returned on you. Right. The offense drive the ball down the field 80 yards and score, and then you kick off, and all of a sudden, bam, they run it down for a touchdown. Then that just takes the wind out of your sails real quick. Oh, yeah. So it's a matter of concentration, and I was very fortunate I had the ability to do that. I snapped a lot of punts over that time. I had 2 bad ones in 12 years. And I can tell you exactly, I remember them both vividly.
That's a pretty high percentage mark.
Well, it is, but I remember them both. One of them was against the Bears. Well, this was in 60, I want to say 68, 69 maybe, I don't know, exhibition game.
Okay.
And we're playing the Bears up there. And actually, it was a doubleheader in Cleveland. Cleveland was playing Green Bay, and we were playing the Bears. And anyway, and Butkus was lined up, and the first 2 times we punted, he tried to take my head off, And so it's one of the first times I ever played against Butkus, because we couldn't play. Before 67, we never played them, exhibition season or anything like that.
Okay. Oh, that's right. AFL and NFL. Right.
So the third time we punted, I said, he's going to know I'm here. So I tightened up like I was getting ready to snap it, and here it come, and I didn't snap it, so he had to stop. He didn't want to hit me. And then I let it fly and come off and come up and hit him right under his chin and knocked him on his ass. And I heard the crowd go, ooh. Well, I never hear the crowd, but, and I thought they saw me knock Butkus on his ass. The punter was chasing the ball. Shaquille O'Neal couldn't have caught that thing. It was so far over his head. So I said, well, you just got to take it. Just let him beat the hell out of you. You just, so that was and I had one bad one in San Diego, when I was in San Diego. But, no, it's a matter of concentration, like anything, it's like a pitcher throwing a fastball or something. You got to be careful to get away from it if you don't let it go just right,
Oh, yeah.
Or a passer, But very fortunate.
No, that's a really great percentage. Let me ask you a little more about the celebration for Super Bowl VII in the locker room. Can you talk about being in the locker room and the celebration and what that was like, and how did Shula address the team at that point?
He was he was happy, and he was, matter of fact, he probably was more. He was probably one of the greatest moments of his life, no question about that. That's what he'd been working for years and years. And of course, Namath beat him in Super Bowl III, and then he lost Super Bowl VI to Dallas. So this was a big moment for him, and he was happy. But the game ball, they give Greasy the game ball, and Greasy turned around and said, "There's only one guy that deserves this game ball," and he gave it to Shula. And of course, it was a big moment. Everybody was happy, but I don't recall all those. It was almost like another ball game that we'd won. We knew we had to win this ball game. We were very relieved after we'd done it, but it never sunk in. It's not like it is today. I mean, I recall today I'll get emotional about it. It was such a great thing,
Yeah.
But at that time, it was just kind of like, I don't know really how to explain it other than it was just a terrific moment. But we all been having a good time and had a big party afterward and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I come from a little old town in Missouri. I told you his name is Mexico. It's in Audrain County.
Okay.
And I remember one of the big things I remember is looking at that scoreboard after it was over with. It said, world champions, Miami Dolphins. And I thought, man, I'm a long way from Audrain County.
That's right. Did you ever think that being from that small town, that county, that something like that was possible?
Oh, I always dreamed about it.
Yeah.
But I never, it's one of those things I guess that I learned going through life. You take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves the best you can. And if you work hard enough, you're in position to take advantage of opportunities. You're way ahead. If you got all these opportunities that you're not prepared for, they're going to go by the wayside. So I always try to be prepared as best I could for this situation. You can't be prepared for all of them, don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
especially in this case. So my athletic career, I worked hard. I worked very hard at it and was very fortunate. And I'm thankful. I played a long time, didn't have no Hall of Fame career. I never went to Pro Bowl. But I played a lot of ball games, played 120 and played well in some big ball games.
Oh, yeah.
And so, overall, it's been one terrific ride.
Well, I mean, that's a great life. Yeah. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, well,
yes, sir.
My wife, she's been with me the whole time, so it was one of those things that we enjoyed it together. So it was a major thing, I guess.
No, absolutely. And so it's even better when you have someone to enjoy it with.
So,
yeah.
So when we go back to all these reunions and all that stuff, she's been there. She's lived through it too. So it's but.
So let me ask you about your Super Bowl ring that you have there. How did that the concept of it kind of come about with what you guys wanted to put on the ring?
Shula did that.
Shula did all that.
Shula did that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he designed it. He sure did.
No.
He designed it with the name on it.
Yep.
With the dolphin on it.
Yep.
With the perfect season, Super Bowl VII, perfect season.
Yep.
With the Miami Dolphins, world champions, and the 16 little diamonds and one big one.
Ah, there you go for each win.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did that.
Man.
Well, I'll tell you, when you look at it, he's one of the most amazing people I've ever encountered. And Zonk and I have talked about Zonk. Said, sometimes we didn't like him worth a shit, man. He was a hard, but now he turned around. He's done it, so he's just one hell of a guy. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah.
Wherever he is,
yeah.
You bet your ass he's changing things.
I'm sure he is.
Right. He's going to change things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to have an opportunity to play for him.
Yes, sir. And as far as the championship goes, I mean, every single player and coach and person in the organization contributed to that championship. And it wasn't just, to me, it wasn't just the key members of the offense and the Hall of Famers. And to me, there's just been no greater example of teamwork where you had everybody and they bought into Shula and the program and what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. Yes, sir.
No, there's no question about that. He had I don't know what you want to call it, but he was, I keep saying, I want to say obsession, but it's not really an obsession. It's a desire that probably comes close to an obsession, that everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows exactly what's going on at all times. Nobody's out here in the dark. Nobody.
Yep.
Everybody knows exactly where we're going. Know exactly when we're going to practice. Know exactly where we're going to get on the bus. Know exactly where we're going to the ball game. Know exactly when we're. Everything is it's a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And will not tolerate anybody that tries to shake it up. And I've that's one thing that we're creatures of habit, no question about that. And winning is a habit too.
Yes, sir.
And so, but he is. He's a legend. Ain't no getting around that. And I just feel I'm grateful for the opportunity I had to spend the time with him because he made a hell of a difference in my life.
Beat me to it. I was going to say he made a huge difference in your life and everyone who played for him, especially on that team.
Everybody. Doug Cruzan, Zonka, everybody. We all talk about it. He's Zonk. When he and Zonk first got, they didn't like each other worth a damn. They didn't.
Well, I mean, you got two Capricorns butting heads like that.
And but it's we all agreed that I'll tell you all the meaningful accomplishments that Zonk has had in his life. Whole hell of a lot of them stem from the time of Shula.
Yep.
Yeah, and all of us, as far as that goes. But
yes, sir.
Yeah. Of course, Zonk would have been successful no matter what he'd done. I mean, he's a hell. He's the stuff, the discipline, and all that stuff he had to go through with Shula made it a hell of a difference in every one of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and again, that speaks to all of his greatness. So it seems like with some recent celebrations of the 50th anniversary of the 72 team, there's finally a bit more respect. And the team was also named as the greatest team in NFL history. I mean, that was been the case the whole time. Why do you think the media maybe was reluctant over the years to give the undefeated team that credit they deserve?
I don't know.
I mean, was it the '85 Bears and all that?
Well, I think that probably had a lot to do with it. '85 Bears, the hell of a football team, no question about that. And so was the Patriots.
Yep.
They dominated for years, But it is almost something like it's mystical having done it. And it's I can't really put your finger on it, but we did have the will to win because we were behind in a lot of ball games, but we won in the fourth quarter. And I don't know. I wish I was a Ernest Hemingway or a great philosopher or something. I'd come up with something catchy, but hell, to be named the best football team in the history of the National Football League, man, that's very meaningful to me. Very meaningful.
Do you think that the regular season only being 14 games at that time, do you think that was a factor in how the team was perceived? They're like, oh, hey, these guys only won 14 games in a regular season.
We played the same. We played 20 games. We played 6 exhibition games.
Well, sure.
But then instead of just the last 2 exhibition games are counted now, or the last 3 now, what they play 3 exhibition games anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the same amount of. The more you play, the more chance you got to lose. There ain't no getting around that. That's a given. But there's been a lot of teams that's won a whole bunch, like Kansas City and Philadelphia. They did some really great football teams, and great players. But I don't know if the 14 games at that time and the 3 games, 17 games is a hell of a lot to play. And you have injuries that come into it.
Yeah.
We lost the best quarterback in the league.
You started quarterback in the 5th game.
And we had an old guy come in that threw his first pass in the NFL in 1956. So
Well, you guys had had his football card, I'm sure, and even Mercury. He played for Pittsburgh. Mercury used to go see him at the stadium. We used to go see him play.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And but it's amazing. It's a tribute to Shula. There's 3 guys or 4 guys that he brought in. There was Earl. There was Jim Dunaway, Marlon Briscoe, and myself that he brought in '72. And Earl was the big reason that we went. Marlon Briscoe he was a hell of a clutch. Marlon was a hell of a wide receiver. And myself, a little contribution I made. Jim got hurt. Dunaway got hurt. I think it was the 5th ball game also. But it was one of those things that Shula he thought he needed this and he needed this to be complete, and it worked out. It's all history now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. So it took a few decades, but the 1972 was finally able to be properly recognized at the White House. And a lot of letters and a lot of efforts by Marv Fleming and I think maybe Mercury and a couple others.
Instrumental in doing that,
What was that experience like for you guys, and how did that compare to
me?
The Super Bowl?
It was one of the most moving things I've ever done in my life. I've always been an Obama fan anyway. I mean, I voted for him. I watched and to meet him and say hello, Mr. President, and look him in the eye, you could tell somebody's home. I mean, he's brilliant. Man's brilliant. I'm not saying that facetiously. He is, without question, he's extremely smart. And it was really a moving moment for me, and it was moving for Marlon. Marlon was the first black quarterback in the NFL. Marlon Briscoe.
Yeah.
And to meet the first black president, I mean, it's kind of it was special. To a lot of people, it wasn't nothing, but to me, it was special. And I don't know, and it's like Larry Little said, he's all pro, Hall of Fame, captain of the greatest football team, and now meet the first black president. It was really meaningful to a lot of guys, and everybody on that team that went. Some guys didn't go.
Kuchenberg and Fernandez didn't go.
Yeah, they didn't go.
For political reasons. Right.
And neither did Vern Dinner. Vern was picking corn, I think.
Okay.
But as I recall, I'm not sure, but when it's corn picking time in Iowa, you forget about going anywhere. It's time to pick corn. It don't wait on you,
That's right.
So, but Langer didn't go, and Kuchenberg didn't go, and Manny didn't go. And they were all big time Republicans. I say Republicans. I don't know what they are now. I know we don't want to get into that. That's a whole different.
Yes, sir. That's another conversation.
Yeah, it is. That's a whole other conversation, which I won't mind having, but this ain't no place to do it.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it would have been nice to, for those guys to be there and celebrate.
Well, so I don't know. I've always thought that, there's some things that are just more important than self.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This is a team thing, and it was being in the White House. It meant a hell of a lot to me. I know,
right.
and it meant a lot to a whole lot of guys.
That's right.
Everybody that went wasn't sad that they went.
Right.
So, but it was a special moment for me. No question about that.
Absolutely, and you can tell from the pictures that it was a big occasion and a big deal to be recognized like that, because when not to stay on politics, but when the team won, that was when all the Watergate and Nixon stuff was going on.
Sure was.
Is that right?
Right, and never had the opportunity to do it.
Right.
And it was kind of weird because we were going to do it earlier, but Marv was trying to get it done earlier, but it was the owner of the Dolphins was a big Republican.
Okay.
Steve Ross.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to wait till after the election, so that's how we had to wait till. But anyway, it was it was very meaningful to me.
No, I'm so glad that the team was finally recognized in that way. It was a special deal.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And when you have a situation come up where you have a president that invites a team to come and the whole team said, I'm not going to that, I wouldn't go see him. That's bad, really bad.
I mean, you're still being recognized at the White House,
but
no matter what your affiliation is.
But but I mean, later on, this happened when Trump invited some.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, was it New England? Was it or whoever it was? They wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And I don't. But we won't get into that.
Oh yeah. So again, that's another subject. Well, let me get back to the 72 season. So you guys, I saw this in another interview, and I don't remember which one it was. I think it was maybe the Miami Herald. But you guys had become celebrities during that 72 season. You used to hang out at Rhodes Brothers.
Yeah.
And that was a big hangout. Everybody knew you.
Right.
And then you had to go. You were back in Miami 15 years after that to see some lenders, and one of the cabbies recognized you.
That's right. He sure did. Yeah, he sure did.
You said you could understand, maybe recognizing Zonka, but
yeah,
someone else.
This was in 87, maybe, whatever, 86, 87.
Okay.
I was in Fort Lauderdale at a bank, a major bank down there, trying to fund a real estate project. Excuse me. And I got in the cab from the airport. It was going to, and the cab turned in. He looks at, "Are you Howard Kindig?" I said, "Well, yes, I am." He said, "Hey, I'm so and so. 15 years. Well, this was 15 years after.
Yeah.
And I could see him. If they saw, Larry Little or Cooch. Cooch lived down there at that time, but with Zonk or Greasy or
Anderson, somebody.
But they remembered everybody, man.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Well, I mean that goes to show you how big.
Well, it was. They were huge fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you grow up down there. You go to games and get programs and all that stuff, and You know who everyone is and how important they are.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So the team has lost. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. I believe around a third of its members and the coaching staff that have passed on. How much do you still enjoy being able to see your teammates?
I love going and getting together. I have a difficult time with some. The older we get, the more, I don't want to call it, I still got a few what little bit I got left in my head, a few little wits about me, whatever you want to call it. And Zonk does too, and Doug Cruzan does, and a bunch of us, still can talk. And but some of the guys, last time I saw Foley, he couldn't even, he just had, it was just a blank. And I see guys like that, and I don't like that. It's part of life, don't get me wrong, but I just have a hard time with that. I won't go back to Buffalo Bill reunions because all the guys I know up there are just wheelchair bound and, big. So,
oh, gosh. Yeah.
And that's part of life. I understand that, but I just don't. I'm in a funk for a week after and every time I get back, And so I just, but no, what we have today, the Dolphins are, most everybody comes down there now and still got their wits about them, And to a degree, all of us are over 70.
Yeah.
I'm 82, be 83, Zonk 77.
Yeah.
Charlie Babb is, Charlie's 72.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Little's, let's see, he's got to be
late 70s.
78.
Yeah.
Larry's 78. Yeah. And I don't know, Norm Evans, bless his heart, he's having a hard time. Norm is, actually had a stroke.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, it was a freak thing. He was going to have a neck operation.
Yeah.
So they had to go through here, and they nicked a big artery, and he damn near bled to death. And I'm telling this piecemeal, I don't know exactly what happened. Anyway, he had a stroke, and anyway, and he's one beautiful guy. Norm Evans,
he's a man of faith.
Yeah, he's a
good man.
Oh yes, he is. They don't make him any better than that. Him and his wife both, Bobby, they're beautiful people.
I read where he, after the Garrow field goal attempt and all that in the past, I read where he said a prayer, dear God, please don't let us lose the game like this.
Yeah.
And he offered some words of consolation to Garrow in that moment too. So,
but I never thought about it like that. I was thinking about kicking their ass,
yes, sir.
But anyway, no, it's just it's always good to be with everybody. But the whole coaching staff's gone now, and everything is just. I can't imagine we might have another one here before too long. I don't know, but they better do it pretty quick.
do you guys try to get together and do something once a year?
We trying to get together. Yeah, we used to get together in Miami, and I used to go back to Naples, Florida every year and play in a golf tournament down there. Mm-hmm. And we'd get together with a bunch of guys, always get Disciple and Larry Little, Charlie Babb, Larry Ball, and Mercury would come, and we'd play in a golf tournament down there, and we'd get together for 3 or 4 days. But usually a team thing with the Dolphins every 5 years, had it every 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and this last one, this was the big one, the 50th.
Sure. Yeah.
But we had a cruise. That a bunch of us went on. I think there must have been 15 or 16 of us. And a bunch of the old Dolphins that played after us, like in the late 70s and 80s, that Marino's group.
Yeah.
Had a cruise, and we all went on that thing and had a fun time there. But I don't know when we're going to have the next one. I don't know.
Do you guys have any regrets about? It doesn't seem like you have any regrets or bitterness about.
I don't have regrets about anything.
About injuries and conditions.
I don't have any regrets. Look, I might have changed a few things. I made a lot of mistakes, but I don't have no regrets.
Yes, sir.
If I'd have changed anything where I went, I wouldn't be where I am now.
That's right.
And I'm okay where I am right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you've done very well for yourself.
I don't have no regret. There's a lot of things in life I wish I probably, would have done a little better, done this, but no, I got no regrets whatsoever. I've probably been as lucky as anybody that ever lived.
That's right.
Truthfully.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, you've done very well for yourself. Let's see, what else do I have here, real quick? We've covered a whole lot here today, and I've greatly enjoyed speaking with you. Let me ask just a couple more things.
Sure.
We'll wrap it up. Let's see. Well, I think we covered that. Did you dreamed about being from Mexico, Missouri, and achieving something great with that Super Bowl win? Did you think that was just anything that along the lines of
childhood fantasies or whatever you want to call it, childhood dreams.
Sure.
I'd watch the old Chicago Bears play in the snow in Chicago, and when we had a TV when I was 17 years old, I'd sit there. But it wasn't something that I thought would ever become reality. I didn't deceive myself into thinking this is what I wanted to do. It was just kind of like maybe you dream about flying or something, kind of like a Peter Pan dream, or I don't know. But anyways, and all of a sudden it presents itself, and you're in position to take advantage of it.
Is that why your wife told you to get on the plane and go to Miami? Was that a big reason you had a chance to play for a winning organization?
Yeah, well, it was a big reason. See, the reason I wasn't going back, we made the decisions together,
right? And
everything we do, we talk about it.
Sure.
So anyway, when I told her, I said, "Well, look, we made this decision." I said, "What do you think we ought to do?" And she said, "Get your big ass on an airplane and get to Miami." I said, "Are you kidding me? That's what you've been dreaming about." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's right." So I went down there, and like I said, the only thing that held me back, period, was that I wasn't in shape, and that's like trying to fight a 15-round fight when you hadn't boxed for 4 or 5 years. You gonna get your butt kicked,
Yep.
So that was one of the. But anyway, it all worked out good.
No, it worked out.
I always kept a decent shape anyway, but not football shape. It takes a while.
And you had your business at that time as well.
Yeah. We were into that full time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, let me ask you one more thing about Super Bowl VII. So, one of the assistant coaches, I want to say it was Carl Task. I'm not sure about that, but somebody put 17-0 greatest ever on that green chalkboard in there. So you'd see it coming back in. What do you feel like the undefeated team's legacy is at this point?
Well, I don't know. I said this in Miami. We had a president from Missouri named Harry Truman. And Harry Truman said one time that it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And that's the 72 Dolphins. Nobody gave a shit about who got the credit. We just won.
That's right.
But guys come off the bench to make big ball plays. Guys come, and everybody in the playoff game against the Browns, Charlie Babb blocked the punt and run it back for a touchdown.
He was a rookie that year.
Oh, he's a rookie. That's right. And people don't realize that we had two great safeties, in Anderson and Scott. And Charlie was the third safety. When you put Charlie in the ball game, you didn't lose a damn thing.
Yeah.
Charlie Babb he's smart as hell. And a hitter, you talk about a hitter. But anyway, and then, of course, Disciple pulls us in the championship game.
And the fake punt.
So it's,
And there was so much talent on that team that it was almost, I mean, to me, it was almost impossible for it not to be somebody different every week.
Yeah, it was, because somebody's going to make a big play. Somebody's going to make a big play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, and Manny Fernandez, 17 tackles.
Do you feel like he should have been the MVP that day?
Hell yeah. I mean, our co-MVP anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jake had a hell of a ball game. I'm not taking anything from Jake. I love Jake Scott.
He got that one interception, and then the second one came in the end zone.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it.
But anyway, he was, Manny could be cold, yeah. I mean, what defensive tackle in a big ball game like that ever come close to 17 tackles?
Yep.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Really.
No, he was incredible that.
Oh, hell,
that
he was it. And I'll tell you, I played against a lot of guys. He was probably the best I ever played against or with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was. No question about it.
Played with a lot of injuries too.
Well, he did, but he played through them. I mean,
yes, sir.
You know.
Yeah.
Hell, he come off. He was in the hospital. Oh my God, Buffalo, I think. Anyway, he was in the hospital the night before with 104 temperature, 103 temperature. And game day, he'd come out of the hospital, come and played the game, and it took him back to the hospital after the game.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not kidding.
I'm not surprised. You guys were tough guys. That's what I love about this team.
It's just a whole different group of guys, man. They're unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Is there a business or a charitable organization that we can call attention to for the listeners? Anything you would care to support? St. Jude's.
St. Jude. I'm a St. Jude guy. Yeah, I think St. Jude is
okay. I know Zonka has supported them for decades, and I guess that started maybe with one of the original owners, actor Danny Thomas.
Yeah, Danny Thomas was. Yeah, he sure was. And
yeah.
But no, St. Jude does one terrific job, I think, and it's that's one of the most worthwhile things you could do. Of course, we got some children's hospital right here in Houston too that are
yes, sir.
That are really. But anything like that, anything to help them kids out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're special.
That's just another big reason why Zonka is the man he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's just you got to know him.
Yep.
If you give we of course we played against each other for years, and we played with each other for a couple of years, and we never was really I want to say it socialized a bunch together. We got together time to time, there were parties and stuff like that, but we kind of traveled different trails. And then in the last few years, we got together, and we've been getting together quite often ever since. It's just there's a special relationship between the guys that played on that team, and I know it's something we had in common, but it's more than that. Most of us none of us were privileged kids. Put it like coming up, we were all I call them poor-ass country boys. Is what we
yeah.
That's what we were. But
yeah.
But it turned out well for everybody, and but I've been very lucky. No question about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Howard, very
You're
much
welcome,
for speaking with me today, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, appreciate you, and I know I'm going to call. I'll give Zonka and them a call and tell them what happened, what we did, and
yes, sir.
See, and I can't promise anything, because they got their own thing going on here.
Oh, yes, sir. They have their own schedules, and I'm not, if it happens to work out, I can't tell you how honored I would be, and you guys are the foundation and the cornerstone for my sports fandom.
Well, good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you again, Howard.
Well,
appreciate
you, man. Appreciate you. I'm gonna have another. You want a beer?
I'm going to finish this one.
Okay, good. I'm
going to finish this one. I'm going to close it out and then turn all this off.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for listening to the Heroes and Icons podcast with your host, Greg Randolph. Once more, thank you to our guest, Howard Kindig. And you can find the link to St. Jude's Children's Hospital in the show notes for this podcast. Please follow the show on the X at Heroes Icons Pod. And if you would be so kind as to rate, share, and subscribe wherever you might be listening, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you again, everyone, for listening today. Have a great night. God bless.